Okay. So imagine you're stranded on a deserted island, and it looks like you're probably going to be there for a while. But maybe this island actually has everything you need to thrive and survive. And if you take care of it, maybe you could live there forever. In many ways, our cities are like islands, but we don't have everything we need to survive. In most cases, our food travels far from where we live, and this is a problem. As of 2020, the food production system and its complicated supply chain was responsible for more than a quarter of the world's greenhouse gas emissions annually. So what are we doing about this? Well, there are a few potential solutions, and some think that vertical urban warehouse farms might be one of them. But unfortunately, simulating the indoor climate needed for crops to thrive requires an immense amount of energy. And that makes these farms incredibly expensive and not that sustainable to operate. So while promising, we don't believe that this is the future. And we've seen increasingly that the market wants to take matters into their own hands. But most of us don't have the time or expertise needed to run our own farms. Given this interest and the supply shocks of recent years, this is contributing to a true urgency for solutions that are both self-sufficient and resilient, and is accountable for the growth in the farming as a service market. But while there are an increasing number of providers in this market, none of them offer a solution that is easy, inexpensive, and sustainable to operate. So that's where we come in. The solution that we've developed is a zero-waste farm system. These systems, like the island we imagined earlier, are fully self-sufficient. And this has forced us to completely reimagine what an indoor farm could look like. Our commitment to finding a fully circular solution to this challenge has forced us to develop new and scale experimental technologies to achieve a closed-loop system. These systems are comprised of hardware and software. The farm unit itself is solar-powered and upcycles waste into plant nutrients and energy that can then be used for gray and rainwater recycling. The IoT-enabled components allow us to automate up to 90% of the farm's operational requirements and optimize each farm's climate for maximum crop yield.
And so what does Loop Farms do for you? We'll size and design the farm to fit your specific space and production needs. We'll install the farm and we'll provide on-site management as well as remote monitoring to make sure your farm stays healthy year-round. And all of this with zero upfront costs. We price our farms based on a monthly subscription price commensurate with the annual productive capacity of your unique farm. And so far, we've built one MVP and we're working on a productive prototype right now in Berlin. We've also designed 6 farms with partners in South Africa that once built will be able to have a productive capacity of 330 tons. We've done this in collaboration with both local and global partners. And so who are we to bring this to you? Well, Amy is a systems design engineer, and that makes her the perfect person to bring together all the different systems we're integrating into one farm. As a trained biologist, I'm responsible for keeping the plants healthy and happy. And we recently added to our team with Pranav, who's managing our sales and business development strategy to help us get to our first paid client. What are we doing right now? So this floating prototype is on Rommelsberger Bay in Berlin. Amy and I built this with our own 2 hands, from raft to solar panels to greenhouse. And it is a fully circular zero waste system that is capable of growing vegetables year-round. And we're seeding right now and very excited to transplant our seedlings into our fogponic system. And so once we're finished with the prototype, we're looking for bridge to pre-seed funding to get us to
30 seconds, sorry.
To get us to our first client site. And then in the future, we're looking to develop a network of farms across Europe and globally. So if you're looking for strawberries available year-round, grown next door, Loop Farms is your answer.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. Strawberries are always great. Let me bring in the other panelists. Sara, Mascha, let's bring you guys in here. And do you want to kick things off this time, Sarah? What questions do you have for the team?
Yeah. So I think my first question is you offer it as a service. And that always, well, when I hear that, especially in the beginning, it sounds very capital intensive. How much is it? Like, how much does it cost for you to produce such a unit? And how do you rent it out to your customers? And then answering with this, who actually is your ideal customer group?
So in terms of pricing, it's based on your productive tons. So for example, if you were looking to have a farm that could produce, say, 10 tons of vegetables annually, the total price spread over 10 years would be 350 to 400K. And that would be broken down by subscription, but the farms actually have a lifetime of up to 20 years. In terms of the capital cost, like because it's a subscription model, there is capital cost on us for the beginning, but we believe that with the right number of clients, this could be the economies of scale are pretty in our favor for that. And then who our customer is. So we're looking to sell to businesses. So that could be, luxury boutique hotels that have restaurants. It could be restaurants. It could even be, corporate campuses that have a cafeteria provider, and it can then spread to also cities and municipalities as well.
But are these units on the water?
They don't have to be on the water. So we're building our prototype on the water, one, because we were able to get space quickly to start building it, and two, because it was a really great way for us to test our circularity theories and zero waste theories by not being connected to land at all.
Are you pulling the water from the water? I feel like if you make something that works for both use cases, you're almost kind of making two different things or compromising it versus going just fully in one direction.
The idea behind this was to show the flexibility of these sites, and what some of the feedback that we got early on is that not everybody will have a rooftop, especially in Berlin, where rooftops are pretty expensive and hard to come by. To put a farm on. So we wanted to show that we really can make these anywhere, and they can pull the water from the regional supply if they need to. The water distillation technique that we use can take almost any water, regardless of its initial status, and make it clean enough to use in the grow system.
Awesome. Mascha or Sara?
I would be interested, did you do a market sizing exercise? Do you have an idea of how scalable that could be?
Yeah, so we're the TAM that we started with is the market for farming as a service. We think we might be able to access a little bit more than that, so that is conservative for us. And the serviceable available market that we're looking at is within Europe. Because we're aiming to operate our farms from one central system, this will allow us to scale faster than if we were operating each one independently or even training customers on how to operate them. So in order for us to expand, we just need to hire the minimal amount of on-site support that we would need in any new city. And this will allow us to access new European markets relatively quickly. So in the first year, we're aiming to establish at least 3 to 4 clients. And from there, we're hoping to scale to 2 new farms per month. And we believe that we can actually grow a lot faster than this once the market has developed an appreciation for this type of product.
How are the unit economics in yours compared to in-farm? Well, in-farm on the very indoor farming versus maybe normally grown strawberries.
Thank you for the question. This is part of what's driven us, in addition to the sustainability aspect, to develop something that's circular. The beauty of this is it brings the costs way down for operations. We're not connected to the grid, so there is a higher upfront cost to use solar equipment for energy, but then you don't have to tap into the grid at all for energy. And this is extremely incentivizing to people given the current energy crisis. The same goes for water. The sites are capable of treating all of their own water, so you can eliminate those costs as well. And one of the most unique features of these sites is that they produce their own nutrients from waste. So that can be waste from the farm site itself, or even surplus waste from the community surrounding the site. And that means that farm operators don't need to purchase liquid nutrients from a volatile supply market. So they're able to bring the costs down to almost nothing. Once these farms are established, they are fully self-sustaining. So we can replicate the crops through propagation. There is no need to purchase additional seeds. So while the upfront cost is somewhat higher, it easily pays for itself after 3 to 4 years.
Okay, understood.
And then after implementation, like how much effort would you say it is to actually run such a farm, and who is going to take care of it?
So we initially we believe in this concept and we wanted people to run their own farms. But all of the market research we've done shows that while there is really an interest in this, people don't have the human resources to dedicate people to run these farms, and they don't have the know-how. So in order for us to access the people who really want to grow this produce on site, we needed to almost completely automate the requirements of the farm. So for our customers, we take care of everything except harvesting. And as an additional service, we'll even provide harvesting. Although this is a very easy task for a farm of about this size, an employee could just go and cut some basil or harvest some strawberries without much expertise. So all in all, they're very easy to operate.
But so if you're floating on the water, like, I mean, not all of them, but some of them, I'm wondering how does the harvesting work then? Do you go there with a boat, or can they be steered back to shore? How would that work?
So if we were implementing a floating farm for a client, we would recommend it being dockside, so you could easily get on and off of the farm. The one we have now does have a motor on it, so we do sail it around sometimes. But it is not a requirement that it should be mobile or not attached to land in any way.
Cool.
If it is so modular, why build lots of little ones versus one bigger one?
So companies like Infarm, they're kind of doing both things. They're using the big central warehouse and they're building farms in store for people. The problem with the big central warehouse is that there are still unsustainable aspects of this. Inevitably, there will be packaging requirements and still transportation requirements to get the products to the end customer. And so this makes the circular aspect of what we were aiming for basically impossible. It also increases costs. So we believe that if we're able to scale these units down to something that is affordable and right-sized for the productive needs of whichever customer we have, then we're able to keep this fully circular and make it accessible to new markets that previously would not have been able to work with this technology.
Why are you better or worse than Bing Klima or Bing Klima? It seems very competitive.
I'd say that we're different. I'll be diplomatic. We're trying to specifically design something that's made for a cold climate. So we had to take indoor climate controls into consideration early on. And this has forced us to do things a little bit differently. And we're also introducing a scaled up version of a fog ponics system, which is something that we haven't seen yet and something that we believe is critical for water efficiency. So these are a couple of big things we're doing differently.
What's the biggest challenge you have?
Convincing people that this is important. I think people are getting to that conclusion on their own, but the market is still developing for this. And so we're also trying to educate people that this is important.